Welcome, I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have been pursuing their Hollywood dreams together since they were just kids. And now in their 50s, they're still at it.
They're working together again. And to hear them describe it, they've never had a better time.
Do you guys have an unspoken language?
Yeah, 40-something years of hanging out together.
It's like a common frame of reference, right? I find the most wonderful thing about it was I loved coming to work every day. I loved seeing Matt. I loved, first of all, he's a genius. And having him in your as the anchor of your movie just
40-something
makes
years
it.
took you to...
No, I didn't used to think this, but it just makes it so easy, and it was just so much fun.
Later in the show, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon on forging their own paths.
So talk about working together, because is it fair to say that early on you made a conscious decision to separate yourselves? You didn't want the Laurel and Hardy syndrome?
I think when we started out, we were trying to be, we had a thing when we were really, before anybody knew who we were trying to be in as many movies together as we possibly could. And then we got so well known for Good Will Hunting that I think we probably went like, well, we gotta individuate a little bit.
Yes, on Laurel and Hardy, and also a function of the fact that we really wanted to be actors and just work.
Then, 17th century Dutch master Johannes Vermeer is the subject of a sold-out exhibit. Seth Doane takes us on a tour.
28 of Vermeer's paintings have been assembled at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, the majority of his life's work. Gregor Weber is co-curator of what he calls a once-in-a-lifetime show.
This exhibition was your idea?
I dreamed of this exhibition, but as this dream came true, it is, exciting.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. They were mere 20-somethings when Good Will Hunting won an Academy Award for Best Screenplay back in 1998. And Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have been stars ever since. But their friendship started long before that, as two kids with one Hollywood dream. Tracy Smith caught up with them.
So is it a bonus making this film, being able to spend more time with each other?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's
For sure.
Was one of the things that we kind of wanted to do, is the idea of like, why aren't we hanging out and spending more time together since we managed to stay friends this whole time?
Plus we hit our 50s, so I mean,
we have not much time left.
I mean, you can see the end of the tunnel.
From the sound of it, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are in a good place these days. They're working together again. And to hear them describe it, they've never had a better time.
Do you guys have an unspoken language?
Yeah, 40-something years of hanging out together.
It's like a common frame of reference, right? I find the most wonderful thing about it was I loved coming to work every day. I loved seeing Matt. I loved, first of all, he's a genius. And having him in your as the anchor of your movie just
40-something
makes
years
it.
Took you to...
No, I didn't used to think this, but it just makes it so easy, and it was just so much fun. I don't know. It's kind of felt like just us and getting to do the thing that we wanted to do. I did. I loved it. I loved it. I miss it every day since. It was the best work experience of my life, without question.
And that experience is Air. The movie is about Nike and how back in 1984, they built an entire shoe brand around one NBA rookie player they thought would become a household name.
I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
I'm willing to bet my career on Michael Jordan. Come on, man.
Affleck, who's also the film's director, plays Nike founder Phil Knight. And Damon is Sonny Vaccaro, the Nike exec who tries to sell him on the idea.
I mean, if you look at him, if you really look at Jordan, like I did, you're gonna see exactly what I see.
Which is what?
The most competitive guy I have ever seen. He is a f***ing killer.
Is it the shoes?
We now know it turned out to be a killer deal for everyone involved.
You sure it's not the shoes?
The Jordan brand is still flying off the shelves.
The
The movie is not a biopic, but Affleck made sure everyone looked as close to real as possible, especially Damon.
Did you notice that he lost the weight?
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
My
Physical
favorite thing about Ben
transformation.
is that he put me in a fat suit when I finally get to work with him. And my wife saw the movie, and I said, "What did you think?" And she goes, "The movie is great. You look like..."
And according to Affleck, Michael Jordan himself had a few suggestions.
What did he tell you was important to him?
A number of things, and I'm not sure that I'm at liberty to share every single one of them. But what I will tell you is he said, Viola Davis is going to be my mother.
Which is kind of like choosing Michael Jordan for your basketball team.
My name's Sonny Vaccaro. I'm with Nike.
Do you typically make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an answer.
Oh, man, here we go.
Viola Davis was in fact cast as Michael's mom, Dolores Jordan.
Best day of my life.
And Chris Tucker plays and helped write the part of someone he knows personally, Nike VP Howard White.
All that matters is how much do you believe? I believe in you.
I called Chris Tucker, and he was like, who I've always thought was a genius and wanted to work with, and he was like, I know Howard White. I was like, you know Howard White? Turns out later, Chris Tucker knows everybody, literally everybody.
One person we see very little of is an actor who plays Jordan.
Why do we not see Michael Jordan in this movie?
We don't see Michael Jordan for the very, what was obvious reason to me, which is that this is a movie about an icon, about somebody who's so meaningful that the minute, I show you somebody and tell you, like, hey, that's Michael Jordan, you just go, no, it isn't. I know what Michael Jordan is. I know what he is. And not only that, the only actor who could play Michael Jordan was a little old to play this part, and we probably couldn't afford him. But the idea was, like, if I show you something, that's not Michael Jordan, and now everything else is fake.
So the final result feels real. And as always, it was a team effort. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon met as kids in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and clicked from the start, chasing the same Hollywood dream. You might not have caught them in 1989's Field of Dreams as extras somewhere in the crowd in Boston's Fenway Park.
Are you like me now?
But you might have seen them in this.
My boy's wicked smart.
You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to me. Because tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'll be 50. And I'll still be doing this.
For Good Will Hunting, both won the Oscar for original screenplay, and it launched them, ready or not, into the Hollywood stratosphere.
What did it do to you guys to win it that young?
I remember it didn't settle in it was like a couple years, I think. It was just completely surreal.
March of '98, I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
I look at myself now and think, I still have quite a bit to learn. That's the curse of being 25, is you think you have it all figured out.
Put your hands up!
Of course, they have figured it out. Individually, they've earned everything from box office respect.
Here's your director.
You teach somebody to be a director in a day?
You teach a rhesus monkey to be a director in a day.
To more Oscar gold.
I stood out here in front of you all, really just a kid, and I went out, and I never thought that I would be back here.
Frankly, one of the lessons of growing older is it's not all about money. It's not the most important thing. You spend your life chasing money, you might end up with a lot of money, but you probably miss out on a lot of things. I haven't found that money changed any happiness that I had. In fact, that's the beautiful thing about this, is the happiness was being able to be here every day in Los Angeles where my children are and see them every day. Have them come visit the set, work with my best friend my whole life. There's nothing more that I want in my life. I thought, well, this is it. This is what I've always wanted, And then I thought, that might mean I'm about to die.
I literally had the same thought. I was like, we've actually reached the mountaintop.
And now, together, they've formed a new production company called Artists Equity that'll give people on the film crew a bigger slice of the financial pie.
That's why it's called Artists Equity, and the idea is that we're pulling a bunch of people above the line who traditionally aren't, and they stand to do a lot better financially than they've ever done on movies before.
I believe in your son. I believe he's the future. And his story is gonna make us want to fly. But a shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
You got a name for it?
Air Jordan.
Air is their company's first offering, with more to come soon.
Seriously?
Maybe it'll grow on me. We're just getting rolling, working again with Amazon to do the story of a wrestler named Anthony Robles, who was born with one leg and won a national championship for Arizona State.
And who's starring in that movie?
I know where you're going with this, but I'm going to tell you who the lead actor is. And,
is there another actor in that movie?
We always hire the very best performers, and in this case, I can say every single person that's been cast so far, I think, is the very absolute best choice.
You're dancing around that Jennifer Lopez is
I
also in this
believe,
movie.
yes, I believe Jennifer Lopez may be doing that movie. Yes, you're gonna make it look like she's just doing it as a favor to me, but actually, she is.
Awkward moment I saw here. Chris comes in.
It seems fitting that Affleck and Damon's new movie is a story about collaboration. That's what got them here, and what keeps them going.
What fun and what a joy to do something with her, see her be great, go to work with your wife, go to work with your best friend, because ultimately, like, your work becomes the lion's share of what defines your life in terms of the time you spend. That's who it is. And if you don't like who you're working with, and if you have difficulty or trouble at work, I think it's one of the things that can really cause depression, anxiety, and pain for people. And conversely, if you love the people at work, you probably have a pretty good life, you know?
Up next, an exclusive excerpt from Ben and Matt's chat. Something you can only see right here on CBS News Streaming. Stay with us. As promised, here's more from Tracy Smith's conversation with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Growing up as teens in the 80s, what'd you think of Nike?
Well, couldn't afford them.
Dude, I can remember when the really cool. This was interesting because this sort of came back to me in the movie. Like, I sort of vaguely remember the time where it was all about shell toes and Adidas, and that was the brand. I mean, there were multiple brands that were kind of floating around on the level of cool. But in fact, I went back and found a picture from, it would either be late '85 or early '86, of my brother wearing the Air Jordan, the first Air Jordans, and I can remember how all of a sudden Nike just became ascendant, and it really does correlate right with Michael Jordan and those shoes, and changing the way young people saw like what was cool. It's like the beginning of sneaker culture, really.
Because leading up to that, it was shell toes and jumbo laces, and all that. That was kind of the world that we were in junior high school and going into high school.
And then suddenly it changed.
It changed completely.
And then, then it was the Jordans were the only shoes to have, and then that translated, of course, into like a Nike T-shirt and the Nike tracksuits and stuff. Is sort of like talk about in the movie. It has this halo effect.
So talk about working together, because is it fair to say that early on you made a conscious decision to separate yourselves? You didn't want the Laurel and Hardy syndrome?
I think when we started out, we were trying to be, we had a thing when we were really, before anybody knew who we were trying to be in as many movies together as we possibly could. And then we got so well known for Good Will Hunting that I think we probably went like, well, we gotta individuate a little bit.
Yes, on Laurel and Hardy, and also a function of the fact that we really wanted to be actors and just work. And as an actor, you get it's ingrained in you that like it could go away at any time, and just having the opportunity to do it is so rare and exceptional that once you start getting the opportunities to do that, it's almost like impossible to sort of go, well, no, or I'm going to do something with Matt. Just go, okay, he's going to, and Matt in particular, just throughout his entire career, has had offers from some of the great, I think pretty much, all the great directors out there. It's a very hard thing to be like, no, Martin Scorsese, no, Steven Spielberg. He's really one of the great gifts. Things I envy about Matt, and there's not many.
Really not many.
Is the experiences he's had to learn from some of these incredible directors over there, the Coen brothers. I mean, Don McCarthy. I could rattle off your resume, but if you go look at IMDb, you'll see it's a really beautiful list.
But it's very hard to say no because when we became famous, first of all, that's a very weird experience, and it's so surreal that suddenly you're having these conversations where these great directors are offering you a movie, and it's like, it's unconscionable to say no, right? I mean, I think probably for 10 years, we didn't even look up. We were just like, yep, the next one, yep, and it was like, of course I'm gonna, and before we kind of took a breath and went, wait a minute, I don't have to do every movie. I can kind of take a break but still to this, it's like somebody calls and they say, so-and-so offered you a movie. It's like, well, that struggling actor in you is always there.
Did the friendship help over the years?
Yes, it helped enormously. I think because what was happening was so surreal. The experience of becoming famous, what's very odd about it is that intellectually, like overnight, your world changes completely, but the world doesn't change at all. So intellectually, everything's the same. There's still a crisis in the Middle East. There's still, all the things that matter in the world still matter. But your experience, your subjective experience, is forever changed. So when you walk into a room, it's not the same experience as it used to be when you walked into a room. Suddenly people turn and they look at you. It kind of wrong foots you for a while. I mean, it took a couple years for me to get my bearings. And so to have, your best friend who you grew up with going through the exact same thing, and everybody sees the positive. Everybody goes, oh my God, it's like, and I used to say it was like winning the lottery and my best friend winning the lottery too. That was the upside, that we were suddenly working and kind of fulfilling this kind of dream that we'd had.
But the friendship at Matt has been invaluable in other, even more meaningful ways. And I love the guy. If you're lucky enough, we had a lot of friends. We were in high school and we had a lot of people that we grew up with. And I still love all of those people. Life, narrows our circles with family and that sort of thing. And you don't need a lot of friends, but you're really blessed if you have even one who you love and trust as much as I've met. And I can't even count the number of things that I'm grateful for about this friendship. And it's really not all that different probably from anybody sitting at home watching this thinking about their own best friend, honestly. And whatever capacity they're meaningful to you. We're social animals that want to have these relationships. And that's really the lottery,
Up next, the Master of Light. Welcome back. Dutch painter Johannes Vermeer is often celebrated for his depiction of light. A sold-out exhibit now celebrates his mastery and mystery. Here's Seth Doane.
As an artist, he's hailed as a master for his use of light, rich pigments, and the serenity of his interior scenes. As a man, however, Dutch painter Johannes Vermeer is very much still a mystery. His body of work, just about 36 paintings, hold some of the only clues to this once virtually forgotten 17th century artist. Today, even one of his masterpieces can be a museum centerpiece, which makes this exhibition extraordinary.
Have there ever been this many Vermeers together at any point?
No, I think also Vermeer never saw himself such an amount of his own paintings together.
28 of Vermeer's paintings have been assembled at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, the majority of his life's work. Gregor Weber is co-curator of what he calls a once-in-a-lifetime show.
This exhibition was your idea?
I dreamed of this exhibition, but as this dream came true, it is exciting.
You heard that the Frick in New York was going to be closed for remodeling, and you thought, they've got some Vermeer paintings.
Yeah.
Let's start putting something together?
Yeah, and if you get them, then of course you can continue collecting all the other ones.
The Rijksmuseum already had 4. Others are on loan from New York, Washington, Paris, and this one from The Hague. Weber likens Girl with a Pearl Earring to the Mona Lisa for her captivating gaze. She inspired a book which became a movie.
A new masterpiece from the hand of my son-in-law, Johannes Vermeer.
But her celebrity came late.
The painting was forgotten, and it turned up at the end of the 19th century. A man living in The Hague bought the painting for a little bit more than 2 guilders. This is nothing.
That would be about $40 today. How Vermeer was nearly lost to history is a story which traces back to his hometown of Delft in the Netherlands, depicted in one of his most famous paintings.
This is where Vermeer would have stood, probably with his sketchbook, making sketches in preparation of his painting.
Art historian David de Haan notes that during Vermeer's lifetime, neither the artist nor his art ever really left Delft. His main patron was here.
Yeah, that didn't do much good to his fame, the fact that he had just a small body of work and that most of the paintings stayed in Delft and then they moved into different private collections.
Vermeer painted slowly, just about 2 pieces a year. This one is called The Little Street.
This woman sweeping would have been down this little alley.
Exactly.
To find this location, a researcher used tax records. Marriage and death records are on display at the Prinsenhof Museum, where de Haan is curator.
From that we have to sort of piece together a little bit of insights into how his life was. It's a bit of a puzzle.
There are no known self-portraits, though some suggest this could be the enigmatic painter who fathered 15 children and died in 1675 at just 43. His widow wrote that Vermeer was unable to sell any of his art, lapsed into such decay and decadence, and as if he'd fallen into a frenzy, suddenly died. Documents reveal she traded Vermeer's art to pay for bread.
So the local baker had these, what would wind up being priceless artworks.
Yeah, it's sort of weird that you imagine now having a baker owning 3 paintings by Vermeer, but that was actually the case.
View of Delft may have saved Vermeer from obscurity. Nearly 2 centuries after his death, a French art critic came across the painting, describing it as superb and most unusual. He became obsessed with the then obscure artist and helped establish Vermeer as a master of the Dutch Golden Age.
How was it to work on something like this?
It's amazing.
Iga Versleppe is one of the researchers using new technologies to analyze Vermeer's paintings.
Vermeer's doing some things that we don't see with other 17th century painters. So the very unusual buildup of paint layers, unusual use of certain pigments. So he's really experimenting in his paintings, and that's what really amazes me.
With such precious few works, and never so many in one place, this show sold out in 2 days.
Where does Vermeer sit in the pantheon of great painters?
This depends on your artistic feeling. For me, at the top.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next time on Here Comes the Sun.